how would you say that you navigated the balance between the technical aspects of geotechnical engineering and your leadership responsibilities in overseeing large-scale projects?
I will go back to my early years, and I have a unique background. And at a point, I didn't think it would help me in the engineering field. So when I finished college in 2005, I got an opportunity to work with the largest shipping company in the world back then. The engineering field was a little bit crowded. As young as I was chasing money. Entry-level engineering wasn't paying good back then.
Balancing geotechnical engineering and project management is crucial to ensuring the success of large-scale projects. When geotechnical engineers and project managers work together seamlessly, they can overcome even the most complex challenges and deliver projects on time, within budget, and to the required quality standards. In this episode, I'm talking with Kow Eshun, PE, PMP, and Vice President at Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated. We'll be talking about how to balance the technical demands of geotechnical engineering with leadership and project management responsibilities to ensure successful, on-time, and on-budget delivery of large-scale projects. I'm your host, Jared Green, and I'm excited to be bringing you another episode of the Geotechnical Engineering Podcast. But before we get started, here's a quick word from our sponsor for today's episode, that being PPI, a Kaplan company.
PPI provides expert prep courses and study resources designed to help you pass the FE and PE exams the first time. PPI's live online courses include hours of lectures, problem-solving demonstrations, exam strategy sessions, office hours, and a passing guarantee. Check out PPI today at ppi2pass.com to see all the options available for FE and PE exam prep. Now let's dive into today's episode.
Kow, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Thank you, Jared, for having me. I'm doing great. It's Friday.
There you go. No better day than Friday, right?
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, to kind of set the stage for our listeners and those that are viewing, if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and let us know what you have done, right? What led you to your current role at Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated?
So a little bit about my background. I like to tell people I'm from Shenton, West Virginia, but I'm originally from Ghana, West Africa. Finished my bachelor's back home in Ghana and migrated to the state in 2010 for a master's degree. And, I've been here ever since. Moved to West Virginia, my first job right out of grad school with Terracon, and did about a year and a half at Terracon. And then I got the opportunity to move to CEC to start a Geotech group in our Bridgeport, West Virginia office. And, it's been an exciting almost 10 years journey with CEC now. And we've been involved in all sort of geotechnical engineering problems and, fixing solutions in West Virginia and all across the U.S.
Excellent. Now, from your experience, what qualities make a great leader in the geotechnical engineering field?
Thank you, Chad. I think it probably will point out a few stuff specific to geotechnical engineering, but all across board, I think everybody stands out among or the skill set for a leader across board, and empathy and being able to understand the team you're working with. Especially with me, with my background, I understand a lot about cultural differences. I came from a different culture. To understand the group you leading. And of course, being knowledgeable, and if not being knowledgeable in the field, being able to know the resources that you can use to guide the team. Another thing I would say is, as a leader, you have to be a servant to the group. And servant leadership is probably one of the big talks of our generation right now. But I think, to lead is to serve. And ultimately that would define your leadership. And last but not the least, but one thing I also consider great is, you cannot lead a group that after your departure, that whole group collapses. So it comes down to coaching and mentoring. You need, as a leader, you need to be able to train the next person to fill up your shoes. So those are the stuff I would say are key to leadership.
Excellent. That's powerful. And how would you say that you navigated the balance between the technical aspects of geotechnical engineering and your leadership responsibilities in overseeing large-scale projects?
I will go back to my early years, and I have a unique background. And at a point, I didn't think it would help me in the engineering field. So when I finished college in 2005, I got an opportunity to work with the largest shipping company in the world back then. The engineering field was a little bit crowded. As young as I was chasing money. I said the entry-level engineering wasn't paying good back then. Shipping and logistics was paying great. So I joined a shipping company, AP Wolomex, probably still one of the largest shipping company in the world. And I was in this management training program that they taught us a lot about leadership, about managing a group. So right out of college, I was already managing a group. I did about 4 years with that company before coming back to grad school. And I look back on my career and I see that really did prepare me for leadership and managing a group. Because most engineers finish college and go straight into the technical stuff. I had the opportunity to do management in a different field, but the skill set for leadership and management are the same. And it came full circle to me when I had to start leading the group.
That's great. That's great. And what would you say, in your experience, what are some of the key challenges that geotechnical engineers face when collaborating with project managers? And, what do you do to ensure smooth coordination, if smooth as possible?
Yeah, I don't want it to sound, everybody will say it's a cliche, it's communication. It comes down, it comes down to communication. I've been involved with project that, a geotech engineer will make recommendations. You're working with a structural engineer or working with a civil engineer, that the recommendation are not incorporated into the design. And I think the key is communication. If you can establish a good ground rules and a chain of communication prior to starting the project, it makes it a lot easier. Not wanting to add meetings on top of meetings in an already crowded project schedule, but meeting regularly, discussing goals and discussing timelines help manage some of the issues that comes with multidisciplinary projects.
Got it. And what strategies are you employing to make sure that both the technical quality and the project timelines are maintained, especially on complex, large-scale projects?
So it's been, I've been lucky when I came to CEC and even my time at Telecom. We have a very rigorous QA/QC process that makes sure that every time we have a product, before it goes out through the door, we have to have a senior level person check, have a paper trail of the checking of calculations, checking of reports, and checking of the final document that goes out. I think having a good QA/QC helps that process. The other thing too is to be, having a checklist and, checking up through all the milestones in the project. So like for a typical geotech project, you start with when your proposal is done and you have a notice to proceed, it's about the drilling, working through with your folks, working on the drilling, making sure the borehole depths are correct. So checking in at each stage of the project. There's a lab samples, have they gone in? Is it the right testing schedule? Checking on your analysis at every point in the process. So you're not coming in at the end and realizing there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And whilst not pretty, one of the lessons I've also learned, which is important, is it's better to be late a day or two and get the product right. And as engineers, we don't like giving bad news, but I've learned over the years to call a client and tell, hey, product won't be available as scheduled because it needs to go through a final QA/QC check.
Yeah, it takes a lot to do that, but that's the right thing to do. And how have you navigated complex geotechnical issues while keeping the stakeholders and project timelines in mind. And you hinted at that a little bit just now.
Yeah. And what if at CEC especially, and in my personal career, I have learned to say, I need help when I need help. You have an array of resources that you can use on project, and sometimes complex project, just like what we did in finite element, right? You break it up into pieces. It makes it easy to handle. So for complex project, I'm looking at building teams, multiple teams to help with different aspects of the project, and then be able to seamlessly put them together again. And it's not easy, like I say, I'm talking about it right now, but it's the way to streamline the process and make sure we have enough. It's about having the resource allocation to the project and having the right folks with the right set of skill set on the project.
Got it. And in your opinion, Kow, what role does innovation play in geotechnical engineering today? And how do we encourage our teams to embrace new solutions?
That's a very, very good question. And I think with even the advance of AI, we are looking at, how that affects geotech. Traditionally, geotech engineering had been being at the cutting edge of technology. But I think technology has a great place in geotechnical engineering. For example, when I was doing my master's, one of the problems I wanted to solve was how does, given a site, how do you determine the number of sample, how many boreholes you got to do, right? And it took me a while to get to a certain point, but I realized I couldn't solve that problem with the tools that I have, right? Now with the advance of technology, the stuff, the iterations you need to be able to do, let's say you've been running a Monte Carlo simulation. My supercomputer I was using in my research would take months to run the number to get an order of accuracy in the research. With technology, cutting edge technology we have, you can do that in less than a day. The stuff that 10 years ago took me almost a year. So we have to encourage innovation. We have to encourage innovation because it helps. It really does help. Like a few years ago, we're not even building surfaces from our geotech borehole location. We're making recommendation based on isolated borings. Now with advanced 3D modeling, we're able to model the surface and be able to have a more informed decisions on our recommendations. So I think technology, everybody needs to embrace technology in the geotechnical engineering field. It's the way forward.
Amen to that. Well, before we take our break, final piece of advice that you would like to give engineers and professionals that are stepping into leadership roles and they might be becoming more responsible for both technical and project management tasks. What do you want to tell those listeners and viewers?
I would say, and I think we talked about this at the onset of the show, it's about 7. You're in the leadership role, it's about 7. And it's not about, and there's a tendency, especially engineers, to focus more on the technical side. I've struggled with that, throughout being able to rightly allocate the resource and not focus too much on doing the technical stuff. And when you step in the leadership role, it's more about mentoring, right? And getting the next level of people ready to step up. And that's a struggle for everybody, but we need to make sure we spend time coaching and mentoring the folks we have on the team to build their skill set and be able to take up their mantle.
Excellent. That's a good note to pause on. Thank you so much for that. We're going to come back in just a minute and close this one out with Kow and our Career Factor Safety In segment. Stick around. All right. Welcome back. It's time for our Career Factor Safety In segment. In geotechnical engineering, just like many disciplines of engineering, it's important to incorporate a factor of safety into your design. But what about incorporating a factor of safety into your career? Today, of course, we're speaking with Kow Eshun, Vice President at Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated. Kow, you've already had a very successful career, but when you look back on that career, what's something that you've implemented in your career to give yourself, let's call it a factor of safety in your career?
Thank you, Jared. And like you said, you alluded to factor of safety in geotechnical engineering. That's all dependent on the risks of failure, the risks of failure, and how much data you have on the problem you're doing. Yeah. And I would say one thing comes to mind. It's about the habit of always learning new things and pushing myself. There've been times I've been asked to do stuff that I haven't had that experience. It's building on the knowledge. I go get an FHA manual. I spend all night, put in time, go through the examples, write a code, do an Excel spreadsheet to do that. So it's about the culture of the habit of always acquiring new knowledge. And I think that has helped propel my career. And I'll recommend that for everybody, getting into the field. You never stop learning. There's always something new out there you can learn.
I love it. It's a beautiful thing that we never stop learning. We just keep, stay curious. So thank you for that. Kow, thank you for coming on and sharing all the great insights with us. You shared some great information and advice. I know it's going to be helpful for our listeners and those that are watching. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to find you? You have an email address you want to share? We can put in the show notes, or you're on social media?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. With my name, you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. And email address will be my first initial and then my last name, KESHUN @CECINC.com. That's my work email. And then my personal email will be my first name and my last name @gmail.com.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's a very good conversation. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the episode today. We would love to hear your feedback, comments, and/or questions. Please feel free to go to geotechnicalengineeringpodcast.com, where you'll find a summary of the key points discussed in today's episode, as well as any links to any resources, websites, or books mentioned during this episode. Until next time, we wish you the very best in all of your geotechnical engineering endeavors. Peace.